Joining us now, Representative Rob Sampson. He was at the Capitol building today for a meeting on the House side to discuss the budget. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing well, Todd. Glad to join you as always.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you jumping in to fill us in a little bit on what went on today. It was expected, perhaps, or was it not, that there would be a vote on overriding the governor's veto?
To be honest with you, Todd, I had no idea what to expect today. I got notified yesterday afternoon that my presence, along with my colleagues in the House, would be requested at the state capitol for a potential vote to override the governor's veto on the recently passed bipartisan budget deal. And I showed up this morning around 11 o'clock, and the individual parties went to their respective corners, their caucus rooms, to discuss what would happen. And we were enlightened in a lot of different ways, ultimately brought to the floor, and nothing happened. The speaker asked if there would be a motion for an attempt to reconsider the bill, and no motion was offered.
So that would have been provided by the Republicans, I presume, by your party. Is that right?
Well, not technically. The requirement for the reconsideration of a bill in this particular situation, and I got to be honest with you, there are so many rules. It's very confusing based on the fact that we are in special session versus a normal veto session. But my understanding is that a person who is a member of the prevailing party, the prevailing vote, so any of the members that voted yes in favor of the budget that passed could bring up the motion to reconsider and potentially get the override.
So a Democrat would have had to instigate that? Is that what you're suggesting?
It could have been any of the Republicans that voted in favor or any of the 5 Democrat House members.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, basically what is happening here is that the speaker and the governor absolutely positively want to stop this budget in its tracks. It is not what they want. They want a Democrat budget that raises taxes and spending, and in the governor's case, does a great deal of damage to education in small towns across our state. And they are not getting the cooperation of Republicans, certainly, and they're not getting the cooperation of their own party. And every day that goes by, they continue to obstruct more and more. But I think it's remarkable the amount of inertia that has been built up, that the majority party, having control of both chambers and the governor's office, cannot seem to get their will. And even today, the speaker did not get his will, because he wanted to stop our budget dead in its tracks today by making sure that our override attempt failed. He brought us in extra early. We had been told from the very beginning that we would be brought in sometime next week, the 10th or the 11th. And every day, of course, the pressure is mounting on Democrat legislators in rural districts who, under the governor's executive order, will lose tremendous amounts of funding for education in their towns. The speaker sees that coming. He wants to wrap this up and stop our budget now. And kudos to my leadership. There was a lot of debate today about whether we should take the vote anyway, but by not basically offering up the opportunity to kill our own budget bill, we have preserved it, and it lives for another day.
Okay, we're talking with Representative Rob Sampson. He is the head of the Conservative Caucus, and we're discussing what went on today at the Capitol. There was perhaps going to be a vote on overriding the veto of the governor on the budget, but that didn't take place. So it sounds like you're saying you only get one shot at this if there had not been a positive override vote today, then the opportunity would have been lost. And because what was the reason that there had?
It was most certainly going to fail today. Because the impact has not yet been felt by those individual municipalities. As we've been talking for the last month or so, the governor's executive order takes effect October 1st, and those checks have been going out over the last several days, or not going out to towns across the state for their education funding. And when those town leaders and the citizens in those towns discover the damage that's being done by the governor's executive order, they are certainly going to be on the phone with their representatives and encouraging them to support the bipartisan budget that passed, that the governor has vetoed. And, of course, the speaker wanted to prevent that, and that's why he brought us in so early. Coincidentally, 3 of the 5 Democrats that joined Republicans in the House in voting in favor of that budget were not present today. I could use a lot of adjectives to describe it, but I think it's clear that it was not done with the best of intentions. Bring us in today.
So this was an attempt to do away with it before the political pressure builds, and by not having a vote today, you guys were able to sidestep that, keep the bipartisan budget alive for when the political pressure builds up a little higher, and maybe Democrats will demand that they have a chance to discuss it and vote on it.
Right, and it's interesting to note that there's such a strong desire coming from the governor and the Democratic leadership, and I want to exclude the individual Democratic members because I think that they are just trying to do their best to
Sure.
end up having something to vote for. Their leadership, however, is absolutely committed to killing this bipartisan Republican budget, and they have been completely unable to present an option of their own. I think
it is fascinating. Yeah, I don't understand why. I don't understand why they want to maintain ownership of this mess. They could be turning it over to you, and then you guys would be responsible. Thank you, Representative Rob Sampson. Got to run. Appreciate you filling us in.